Hi, I'm Logan Langtree, and today I'm sitting down with Josh Nadeau. Josh is currently the new head coach of the Fleming Knights women volleyball varsity team. So, Josh, can you give me a little bit about your background involved in sports and the level you've competed at?
I would love to. So I started playing volleyball in grade 10. I actually got cut from the team in grade 9, and I made it and was a starter from grade 10 all the way to OAC, back when they actually had OAC.
Wow.
And I loved the sport. Took a couple years off to make some money to go to Trent University, where I continued as a volleyball player. Started as a libero, loved the sport. Actually turned into a volleyball coach at Trent for a couple years, and that was an amazing opportunity. Had a little bit of a break with some family, and then I just reapplied for a Fleming position with the ladies, and I'm looking forward to another fun year of volleyball and hopefully helping the girls grow and become a good team and watch them destroy some balls.
That's great. So, how has sports influenced your self identity?
So I think there's a lot of things in sports that, as a coach and a player, I try to bring to the table all the time. I think that comes from my parents too, so they're really big on respect. Whether you're talking about the refs, players, your coaches, your athletes as a coach, and the fans. So you always want to try to be a positive person and a role model for the next generation. And then I'm from a big family too, so I was really encouraged among everyone that there's always younger generations coming up that look up to you, and every little thing you do, they're going to try to follow in your footsteps, whether it's positive or negative. Um, and my dad was really big on work too, so you're always putting in work, trying to become better in every aspect, whether you're talking about volleyball, working in general, being a better friend, dad, brother, sister, whatever it is. So, from that point of view, I think sport's really important to me. I also know as a player, it really helped me get through university because I needed that outlet and that family, because I did go to Trent, which is a couple hours away from my hometown. So it was a family away from my family, and it kind of helped me develop some other skills and my passion for the sport as well.
That's great. Have you ever experienced pressure to be the best in the sport because of your parents and the amount of money that they spent on you playing sports?
I will say yes. Both my mom and dad, they never played volleyball, but they were very competitive. Playing, they had their own baseball family team. So again, it was literally a team of aunts and uncles growing up that we would go and watch, whether it was in the States or anywhere in Canada. And that's followed the younger generations, all their kids. And I think they breeded that into us to be super competitive. But again, it comes back to you got to love the sport and be respectful of everyone. And I guess mom and dad worked. They still work really hard, but they did pick up extra shifts and try to make sure that my brother was into competitive hockey and I was into competitive baseball. So they were always working extra hours to get us, make sure we could actually afford the sports and travel and food. And I guess when I became 16 and I actually started paying attention to how much money it cost, then I tried to get some part-time jobs so they wouldn't pay as much, because when you actually start paying attention, travel is very
It's so
expensive,
expensive, yeah.
especially now. Like, I was very young back in the day, but like now gas isn't getting any cheaper. But I will say, like, they allowed me an opportunity to grow as an athlete and a person, so I definitely have to owe it to them.
Yeah, for sure. So what are your thoughts when it comes to the influence that media plays on sports and society?
I think it's a two-sided coin. There's positives and negatives. So for positives, um, you can even take Sidney Crosby as an example. He and a lot of other NHL players, they're involved with Timbits and other special needs programs, and it's great that you see the athletes that have made it to such a high caliber are giving back to the community.
Yeah.
volunteering their time because they are busy, they're traveling, they have their own family life that they're trying to juggle. But I also think there's sometimes the media focuses too much on some negative things. An example I would use right now is AB, or Antonio Brown, is an NFL player, and before the season started, there was a lot of negative hype about him, and he's a person that, in my opinion, basically had a little bit of a hissy fit, and was rewarded by going to the Patriots, which are a championship team. So because he didn't want to play on a team that he didn't think was going to go very well, in my opinion, he was given lots of publicity. He was brought to the center of attention, which I don't think should have any attention. Because you're showing kids that that's the way you should act. And I don't think there should be any time for that, or as much time that was spent on it, because it was like weeks that were spent just on him. If you were listening to any radio talk shows, it was very annoying because I would rather listen to some positive aspects of sport instead of the negative.
For sure. Do you think that the media focuses a little bit more sometimes on the negative of what the athletes are doing? I know I'm throwing you a curveball, but
no, I do. You need, whether we're talking about news or sports and media, positive things are great. If you're looking at a highlight reel, super big catches, great, people cheering. But I do believe that there's too much negative in the world. So whether we're talking about news, like the newspapers, the sports reel does talk about too many negative things, and sure, bring it up and then move on, and then go back to focusing on the positives if you can.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question I have for you is, how do you think the role of the big corporations like the NFL, NHL, the NBA, etc., affect sports and the athletes within them?
So I guess every athlete is striving for the big contract, to be the next big player. So from that point of view, I think before they make it, athletes are trying really, really hard. It's really exciting to watch college ball, university ball, but then when it gets to the high-end level, then the corporations, I think it is about advertising, because it's an organization, a business, right? So they're in it to make money, and then I think some players just are there for the money. After a few years, they kind of forget the passion that they may have once had. I don't think it's all athletes, but I do think there's some athletes. Like an example would be the AB guy again. It almost feels like he's lost. He's a fantastic, amazing player, but it's more about his show, and I think his negative attitude towards the business. He's a great player, but he's frustrating from a person who's like, my kid could be watching you, and she might end up acting like you, and I don't think that is a respectful way to be as a person.
So that kind of ties in with my next question of your opinion when it comes to the multi-million-dollar contract. Do you think it really has effect on, like, the players? Do you think that at a certain point they start to care more about the money instead of the love of the game?
For some people. I think some people will always have the passion for the game, which means they might end up taking a little bit lower of a contract instead of a high one, so they are allowed for some additional players on their lefts and rights to give them some help so they can win some championships.
Do you think that money has added pressure to these athletes? Do you think that affects how they play?
I think so. There's a lot of added pressure because they want to compete and they want to try to get a renewed contract, and if they get like a long-term contract, they can kind of coast for a few years, and then sometimes some players you see stepping up their game in the last year.
For sure. Do you think commercialization of sports has effect on society?
I do. I think if you look anywhere, you see NBA players on Gatorade bottles, you see them in Sports Check. newspapers, magazines, and it's an entity where they're in to make business now and make money. So the more money, the more successful they are as a business.
Great. Well, that's all the time that we have today, Josh, but thanks for sitting down and talking with me.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.